Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Care Managers Inner Circle. My name's Jonathan and welcome to Book Week. It's something which is really very close to our heart at the Care Managers Inner Circle, which is self-development. And one of those routes to self-development is reading some amazing books, ladies and gentlemen, amazing books. And I've got to say, this is an amazing book and we are absolutely honoured and privileged to have Neil Jurd. Neil, let me bring you into the studio. There he is. Good evening, sir. Good evening. So, how are you, my friend?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you. Lovely to see you.
Brilliant. We got over those technical difficulties at the start, but that's what it's all about. But no, lovely to see you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Neil Jurd, all the way up in cold Cumbria. So, whereabouts do you live, Neil?
I can point it out on the map if I can work out where, but I'm in Kendal.
Kendal, I mean, it's a beautiful part of the world, and it's great. And was it because you're ex-army, you were drawn to the hills? Is that something to do with it?
Yeah, partly. A longish story which I won't tell, but yeah, I mean, I did my mountain leader qualifications up here. I've always loved the Lake District. So we settled up in Grange-over-Sands at first, and then I moved to Kendal about 8 years ago, and I love it up here. I love it.
I know, and well, I've heard so much about you. I've got to say, so Neil Jurd OBE, and the leadership book is what we're on tonight to discuss. I've got to say, Neil, I mean, we've all seen a lot of leadership porn, you know, in our years. There's a lot of stuff out there. In those days of the self-development books of the sort of 80s and 90s, very different in terms of what you've got on offer here, which is probably one of the best written, I've got to say, simplest books on leadership. It's pragmatically well laid out, and I genuinely love it. So well done, mate. So how did you come about to write this book, you know, in terms of your background?
Well, I've always been interested in leadership. I mean, as you said, I was an army officer. I taught at Sandhurst for a couple of years. I've led various operations, but in Iraq, Yemen, Sierra Leone, Bosnia. So I've done practical leading, and then also spent a few years teaching leadership in the army.
Yeah.
Then I left the army, and I was head of logistics at British Sugar. Then set up my own leadership business over a period of time. There's a part of that story you know, but your readers won't. But I lost my wife unexpectedly soon after I left the army. So I had two very young children at the time. So I built up a working life that fitted around being a single parent. So really, I moved into leadership development because it fitted around my life situation at the time. Yeah. I've done it for the last 10 years. I love what I do. I find it fascinating.
And you do so much as well with cadets, don't you? I mean, that's something which was really quite inspiring.
Yes, I mean, I do it because I enjoy it. I was an army cadet myself when I was a kid. And I got a lot from the Army Cadet Force. I think it changed my life. I think the direction that I've followed since, and the things that have gone well for me, the Army Cadet Force was a huge part of that. I went to a comprehensive school. I had no military background, apart from my dad, who did national service and hated it. So I had nothing pulling me towards the forces, but the Cadet Force, I met great people, really, really great mentors, and also great friends. I mean, a lot of my best friends, even now, are people I was a cadet with.
Yeah, and likewise, I was in the CCF, and that's where I got this bug. You know, no history of no military or family history of being in the forces, and I entered straight from there. You know, so it's I think we share that in common. And I went back to cadets as well after leaving the forces, what was about 11, 12 years ago now, and put several years back into that, and it was great days. Well, Neil, tonight obviously we've got the leadership book. I mean, where'd you start? I'm just picking your brains out. Where'd you start with a book? You must have thought, right, I need to write a book, or did someone give you a little nudge? Was it someone who just said, look, you need to be putting this down, mate? You need to.
I think I've been writing it for years. I've been making notes for years, and I don't know. You might do the same sort of thing. I can imagine you might, but I kept a notebook of ideas and thoughts, and I guess with all of the years of delivering leadership training, I've had a lot of time to think about what's important and what works. So I made notes, and then 2 years ago, when COVID first hit, my business was massively affected. I mean, I used to do a lot of face-to-face coaching and running courses, and it all stopped, just totally stopped. That was it. Really sorry, Neil. We're sure you'll understand, but we can't use you, which gave me a lot of unexpected time off. But it was lovely, wasn't it? It was a really lovely summer, and it gave me enforced space to write the book that I guess I'd been ready to write for some time, but never had the time to put together. So yeah, I sat here or outside in the sun, and I wrote for a few hours every day.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I've got to say, I mean, we've spoken about on the Inner Circle many occasions actually, you know, and I've just taken the odd little extract from it. You please know, always credit you. And yeah, I like it. You know, it's plainly written, and for the challenges now in social care. I mean, I unexpectedly ended up in social care, like you, as in the forces. Jumped out the forces. Got a job as an associate director in the NHS, big directorates. And resigned 6 months later. You know, the NHS and me were just not going to get on. Very different creatures, and I just thought, and I set up a company called Storm, similar to yourself, that was doing personal development, health and safety predominantly, and that took me. And funny enough, when the pandemic hit as well, Storm was still going, and we lost many clients just overnight. But then ended up looking after my mum's home, 5 years ago, that sort of needed a bit of help, and the rest, they say, is history. Entered into a world of you never expected. So look, I mean, this is fab. I love it, and I think I like how it's a relatively thin. You get some big tones out there. It's the sort of thing you can sort of flick through. It's digestible. For many who won't be sort of ex-forces, it's very much a toilet book. That sounds, but it's the sort of book you'd have in your loo. You can flick through, and certainly something which you can pick up and put down. But you can certainly develop your staff in terms of care managers. So if you're a chief executive, if you're a trustee, if you're a director, this is great just to dip in and out, and with some great stuff. Is there anything new you want to sort of pick out from this in terms of bits that you particularly like, in terms of?
Yeah, the first thing I'd say, because you referred to that kind of my military past, and it being a relatively small book, and the two things go together, because you and I were both taught not to waste words when we write. So the thing which I think is important is that I haven't wasted any words. But when you read the book, it doesn't have padding. It gets straight to the point. And at one stage, I asked a copywriter to take a look at it. She just added words and words and words. She put the word absolutely in something like 60 times, and it was completely wrong. So I just stuck with the way that I write, and kept it very simple. And I think that's what people like. And also, I should probably say that I wrote originally, what I was writing was scripts for videos about leadership.
Okay. Yeah.
What I actually made were 30 videos about leadership and team development. And the discipline of writing them as scripts was really good, because again, to try and get those down to 8 minutes or 9 minutes, which they are, I couldn't waste words, and it had to be in a very conversational style. It had to be engaging. So the temptation to write in a bit of a poncy way was just taken away from me. I had to read this stuff to the camera or say this stuff to the camera. Then I used that work as the basis for the book. I then rewrote it, changed the tense a little bit. A few of the chapters are different, but I think the reason that it works so well, and from the feedback on Amazon particularly, is because I kept it simple, because it was written in a way that could be presented to camera.
Yeah. I've just got to explain why I've got a kitten here.
Hello.
I'm looking after my son's kitten while him and his girlfriend went away. So if there's all sorts of movement in the background, I've got, hold on, let me just get. There you go. This is Theo, everyone. There's Theo. the star of the show. Very, very much. So Neil, I mean, it's great. I mean, I like the format. And so in terms of these videos, because I know they are, I've seen them on LinkedIn. I've seen certainly some of the build up to them. What, you know, where can you access these videos? Where that's on your website, isn't it?
Yeah, neil+jurd.com. You can access them. The NHS are using quite a lot of them, as in they've got access for quite a few people, but lots of others are. University of Sheffield have got lots of users on there. They've taken off because there's nothing quite like them. Again, it was like an accidental success, but people seem to really, really like them. And your question, you asked me, and I didn't answer it, but I'll come back to it. You said, you know, what stands out from the book, and when I look back at everything which I've written and think, what's it about? I think for me, leadership comes down to two things, and it's really all you need to get is these things. It's direction and connection. And as a leader, if you've got direction and connection, you will be having an impact. And by direction, I mean know where you're going. Be really clear what you're trying to achieve.
So your vision.
Which from our background is selection and maintenance of the aim, or in the book you talk about clear and compelling purpose, but know where you're going. And then the second thing is be good with people. Take the time, connect with people. Even if you're not an extrovert, take the time to really connect with people and engage them in your direction. So it always comes back to that.
Because I love your little models. In one of them, I think you describe leadership as this force that sits in the center, and you've got vision and purpose here, and then your sort of people down here, and it's the connection between your people, your workforce, your teams, and of course the overarching vision, which is here, which is a fabulous way, and the culture that pulls the whole thing together it was a great way of describing it.
I'm big on that. I think getting trust and having good relationships, because where you've got good relationships between people, nothing's a problem. You know, where you're working with people that you're really connected with, where you trust each other, where your values align. That's really important. Your values align. Your beliefs don't have to. Your beliefs can be totally different. If your values align and you get on with each other, honestly, nothing's a problem. And you'll have been in teams where people are quite different from each other, but they like each other. They get each other. And then where people don't get on, nothing's easy. Nothing. If the smallest thing can become an issue, can't it? It can fractious problems between people, and even the most simple thing, a manager has to get involved, or there's some sort of conflict.
I mean, I found, I mean, I took over a broken organization, you know, this was about 4.5 years ago now, and started to rebuild it, and there's no great rocket science, you know, and I remember sort of just saying to the team, you know, we will be a truly outstanding organization. A lot of people sort of, you know, scoffed at it and just said, yeah, well, we'll see. And 4.5 years, you know, I'm still there, and I'm still, you know, true to that vision. That's the mantra, you know, we will be truly outstanding. We're continually learning. We must be continually on a forward journey. And, you know, you paint that picture, you paint that path. The most important thing for me, without sort of overcomplicating, was I just had to create a battle-winning team.
Yes.
Which was resilient enough that had a new moral code, that had a resilience when it comes to receiving and giving critical feedback on and I said to it, we can't be precious, myself included, park the ego, let people say how well you're getting on, which was tough actually. We've had some tough days, really tough days, particularly in the last year or so.
The last year, I've seen a lot of the stuff you've done. I've seen a lot of your posts. I kind of, it's inspiring seeing you out on your bike, your
sure, yeah.
But I love that. I love the way that you clearly care for the people that you're there to care for. It's more than just doing a job. I get the sense, and I mean, I've been watching your work probably for longer than you realise, and I've seen you take some of your veterans out, and it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you for that. I mean, I always say that people can see when you're genuine, when you're absolutely authentic, because you can't keep it up. I mean, I remember from me, from the young officer days, you've just got to be yourself, and the lads will love you for that. Your troops, male or female, they'll love you for that. For just being yourself, and they will. You've got to be authentic, and people will see if you're not true to your values, because you eventually the mask slips, and then that integrity is called into question, and people start questioning actually your true agenda. But if you see, time and time again, the mantra is the same. My gorgeous people in the beds. My language is important. It's very different language from using the foot. You couldn't start calling people gorgeous and all that. They get laughed off the parade square. But in this world of care and love, it's so important.
Yes, and it's a consistent message. It's always the same. When you turn up, it's the same. You're very clear what the culture should be and what you're trying to achieve, and a lot of it comes from you personally at the heart of it, but which links to what you were saying and a theme in the book, which is the leadership is just plain you. That Phil Marshall Slim quote, which most army officers are aware of, but leadership is just plain you. This idea that leadership, you shouldn't be playing a part. It's positional leadership. I describe that as the most fragile rank and position, the most fragile form of influence that you've got. But your personality, your personal connection, that's where it comes from. It's you, whether you're loud, quiet, musical, you love poetry, you're really serious, whatever you are, that's what engages people. And if you try to be somebody else, the leader that you used to work for, people see through that. They see that it's, and of course, under pressure, that act falls apart. You can pretend to be a leader until it all goes wrong, and then when you're under pressure and you have to make real decisions, like you will seriously have been doing everyone in your sector will have been doing over the last year and a half, where it becomes proper life or death. You need to be you, because if you're putting on an act, that act will.
And it has been tough, and there's lots of care managers watching tonight, and it's been the toughest. I've often said, like I didn't do Afghanistan. I did Iraq, the 2003 break-in, and it was the best boys' own adventure ever. I've done Bosnia, did Northern Ireland 3.5 years. And had the honor of leading some of the finest boys and girls ever. It was great. But the last thing, and we've all been under pressure, but I've got to say, and I say with the greatest respect for everyone and everything I've done in the forces, the toughest thing I've ever done is what I've been through in the last 18 months.
Yes,
it's unrelenting. There's no index. There's no end of exercise. There's no operational R&R. It is just unrelenting.
And the situation changes and changes again. You just never know, and you'll have had all sorts of guidance that will have altered, or not just guidance. I mean, laws that have shifted. So I can imagine it would need real leadership.
But it's but yeah, tonight, you know, thank you so much. I've got to say, so in terms of, if I was to put you on the spot and just say, look, you know, if there's three things, you know, what sort of three things would you sort of mention to, you know, the care managers who are sort of watching tonight, in terms of, you know, what sort of three takeaways you'd sort of say?
Probably some of what I've said, actually, but I would absolutely go hard on know what you're trying to achieve. Be really clear what your purpose is, and then everything has to contribute to that purpose. So your vision for your home, or for whatever part of the home you're leading.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's it. You've got to have a vision. It's got to come from you. You've got to believe in it and be passionate about it. So firstly, that just be really clear what you're trying to achieve.
Have a destination. Have a place that I talk about, the waypoint. Have a waypoint, something you can point at and actually describe it to your people, so that they understand what's in your head.
Yes, and be consistent with it as well. So the same message again and again and again. It doesn't mean you can't change if the situation changes, but broadly speaking, when you turn up, when you're in the room, you've got a consistent message, and you say it again and again till everyone knows it. I think you have to have that balance between management and leadership as a leader, and you need both. And you'll have seen, but in the book I present it as a set of scales of management and leadership, and it's really easy to say, well, it's all about leadership, and it isn't. If you have too much leadership and not enough management, you'll get energy, you'll get direction, you'll get people wanting to do stuff and change, but you'll lose safety. You'll lose structure, order, safety. You manage stuff, so your finances, your equipment. So there's things that need servicing. You need people paid on time. So you need the balance as a leader. You've got to have good management. You've also got to have good leadership. You need to have a balance of both. And finally, culture. Just get the culture right. And there's a model that I've included in there based on Tuckman, but I an Excel culture, where you want trust, you want people speaking honestly. We've talked about this, but the idea that you can say what you think, you can tell your boss when he's wrong or she's wrong. The boss can tell you when you're wrong. There's no sulking, because everyone's really focused on achieving what you're trying to achieve. So the culture, well, the culture is everything. There's this slightly cheesy phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast. But I think, I don't know if you've heard that.
I like that.
One of my clients loves it. He bases training events around it, but I agree with it. I think getting the culture right is everything. If you've got a great strategy but your culture's wrong, you're not going to achieve it. Because if you've got the right culture, people will just be creating and growing. So get the culture right. Look after people.
Brilliant. So Neil, just to say, so where can they find you? Because I know you do all sorts of, not just an author, you do consultancy, you do workshops, you're a speaker. So Neil's going to be speaking, guys and girls, at the Care Managers in an annual conference at the Care Show on the 13th and 14th. But Neil will be on the 13th, actually, in one of the theatres at the Care Show in Birmingham NEC this year. So you'll see Neil live. We're really excited to see. So I take it, so they can obviously find stuff on your website.
neil+jurd.com is the best place to go for me. To buy the book, Amazon's probably the easiest. I hate sending anyone to Amazon, but the book's for sale on Amazon, and there's a Kindle edition as well of it. Or if anyone wanted to look up the Sandhurst Trust website, it's also for sale there. Slightly cheaper as well, actually, on Sandhurst Trust.
Right, okay.
And the videos that I talked about through my website, or look me up and get in touch with me directly, and I can send people a free trial. I've already got some care home people looking at them in free trials. Really happy to to let
Great.
managers have a look in case they want to use them to develop their managers.
Well, that's right. Well, Neil, look, finally, thank you so much. It's lovely seeing you, you know, you know, and I can't wait to see you at the Care Show. But look after yourself in sunny Cumbria, and once again, you know, from myself, everyone at the Inner Circle, a huge thanks. So I'll just so Neil, if you don't mind, we'll see you soon, Neil. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, yeah, a huge thanks to Neil Jurd. Please visit his website, see him on Amazon. And once again, we will see you very soon. And we've got the rest of the week as well. So join us for the rest of the week with our other amazing authors. We'll see you very soon. Bye for now.